Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Misty, and this is Lunch with KUDZUKIAN. If you were here last week, we started the first of many of this series called Lunch with KUDZUKIAN. So thank you for joining us. And last week, you had the opportunity to meet our amazing visionary and CEO, Larry Robinson. But now I am solo dolo. So he just threw me out there. And so now I'm here and we're going to continue this conversation. And today we're going to talk about all things podcasting. And so, one, if you have any questions, I want to say this now, make sure that you leave them in the comment section below. And then, of course, if you're not following us on social media, that's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, make sure that you do that so that you don't miss out on this amazing series and your opportunity to get all the information you need as it relates to podcasting and for us, the experts, to answer any questions that you may have. And so we'll be discussing starting a podcast, right? And so there are a few different things that you need to ask yourself and know before starting your podcast. One is, what is the main goal? What is the purpose of your podcast? And who is your target audience? Another one is developing a compelling topic and what you're going to talk about, your niche. And then lastly, we'll kind of give you some suggestions on equipment and software that you'll need to start your podcast, and then maybe a couple of different distribution sites that will help you on your journey. And so, I want to get started. And there are we have a 5-step creative process here at KUDZUKIAN. And so today, this week, we're going to touch on just the first two, but I'm going to list them out for you. So the first one, you have ideation, you have development, production, distribution, and promotion. And so, like I said, we're going to touch on the first two. That's ideation and development. So, ideation, what is it? What is your big idea? So, that thing that is in your head now, that's where it starts. So that's the idea. That's the start of the ideation process, right? So what is your podcast niche? Is it music? We can talk about. We have a music podcast, riffing on jazz. So if is it music? What type of music are you doing? The history of music? Are you doing jazz, R&B? What is it, right? And are you gonna be on camera by yourself? Or is it gonna be somebody that's hosting with you? We have a co-host. Those are the questions that you need to have or ask yourself. And then also, what is your unique angle? We know that there are a lot of podcasts out, right? And then there are a lot of people who are kind of talking about the same thing. And I know for many that may be one of the reasons why you're hesitant on starting, but know that you are a brand and you are unique and your voice is unique. And how you feel, your thoughts on a situation or topic, it matters. So now it's just about being creative, and especially in a world where we're visual, we're digital, and you can easily get inspiration from other people. I think I saw, and I will say this, there were a few questions that we kind of missed, but know that if I'm looking over, I will be addressing some of the questions in the comments as I talk. And so, going back to ideation, and I think I kind of spilled over into development, but again, the idea, the big idea, that's what you need to think about. Think about what your content is going to be about, what your podcast is going to be about. And so let's move into development. Is it going to be an audio podcast? Is it going to be a video podcast? I think I even mentioned earlier, are you going to have a co-host? What does that look like for you? Think about even how you're going to release. Are you going to release weekly, bi-weekly, once a month? Of course, we recommend the more consistent you are, the more content that is out there, it'll work out in your favor, because that way you can build your audience. Oh, we have a question. The question is, how can you get podcast guests? So that's easy. you can easily look at the people that are around you, your relationships, your family. You can always start there. We actually had a gentleman, shout out to Evan Hayes. He was our intern this past summer. And so one of the things that we did for them, by the end of their internship program, we wanted them to walk away with a podcast. And so everything that I'm talking to you about, he literally went through that podcast or that process. And his first guest was his brother. So start out with somebody that's close to you, somebody that you have relationship with. And I feel like that may be the easiest way to start. So that way you know each other, you're comfortable with each other. And so, yeah, I say start there. Again, I'm gonna remind you, I love that. Thank you for that question. Make sure that, again, keep them coming. Any questions that you have, leave them in the comment section below. All right. The other thing is, let's see, other things that you would need to know. I talked about releasing. I talked about the name of your podcast. Oh, that's big. What is the name of your podcast? What is your podcast going to be named? And I found that the more simple, the better. The more simple, the better. So don't overthink it. Again, you are unique. Just roll with that idea that is in your head. Oh, we have another question. All right. Should you pattern your show after others? Honestly, I think that's up to you. I don't see anything wrong with looking at what others are doing, kind of seeing what you like, seeing what you don't like. I think that's just I can say we all do it. And so I think that's up to you, and just see what inspires you. So there's nothing wrong with kind of studying other podcasts to see what other people are doing, to see what works and what doesn't work. So yeah, thank you for that question. So we can briefly move into equipment. Actually, not briefly. That's more so part of, I would say that's part of production. But the reason why I say that is because if you're listening, all you have to do is click on the link below, download your free podcasting 101 kit. And then we will also give you a suggested equipment list. And so we know that equipment can be pretty expensive. And so we've listed out a few different options as it relates to equipment that you can choose from that I'm sure can be within your budget. Right. So, and that's one of the reasons why we started the podcast club. I believe we mentioned it last week, but we probably didn't go too much in detail about it. But that's what this episode is about, or the start of this series is about, starting your podcast under $500. And that's part of that podcasting kit. So make sure you download that, and also sign up for our newsletter to get more information about podcasting. And so that's it. That's it for today. I wasn't planning on being before you long, but again, next week, I know we only touched on 2 of the 5-step process that we have here at KUDZUKIAN, and that's ideation and that is development. And so again, we will be periodically, even if you missed this, come back. Any questions that you have, we'll be sure to address those next week, or even we may type them in the comments. And so we want to make sure that no question goes unanswered. And so again, I'm excited. I'm excited to have y'all here at Lunch with KUDZUKIAN. We were supposed to have lunch. Larry Robinson, we were supposed to have lunch, but you failed me. So maybe, maybe next week we'll have some lunch for Lunch with KUDZUKIAN. And so again, follow us so that you can keep up with this series, Lunch with KUDZUKIAN, so we can answer your questions and get you started on your journey of podcast. And thank y'all for joining me, and we will see you next week. Bye.